What if I told you that the biggest mistake in your morning routine isn't what you eat? It's how you drink your coffee. Every single morning, millions of people wake up, brew their coffee, and believe they're doing something good for their energy. But what if that same cup of coffee, with one tiny addition, could completely change how your body functions within minutes? I'm Dr. James, and after years of studying metabolic health, I've seen something most people never notice. The difference between a harmful habit and a powerful health tool is often just one small change. And today we're talking about something so simple, most people ignore it. A single clove. Something that costs less than a coin, sitting quietly in your kitchen, but capable of transforming your morning in ways that expensive supplements can't match. This isn't hype, it's biology. Because when you combine coffee with clove correctly, you're not just drinking caffeine, you're activating a system inside your body that affects your energy, digestion, inflammation, and even your blood sugar from the very first sip. Now here's the part most people completely misunderstand because they think coffee is just about caffeine. But coffee is far more complex than that. It's actually one of the richest sources of antioxidants in the modern diet, especially compounds like chlorogenic acid. This compound plays a direct role in protecting your liver, stabilizing your blood sugar, and reducing inflammation throughout your body. But here's the problem. Most people are unknowingly destroying these benefits every single morning. They add sugar, which spikes insulin and cancels out metabolic stability. They add milk or cream, where proteins bind to these antioxidants and reduce their absorption. Or they use instant coffee, where processing has already stripped away a significant portion of these compounds. So what they think is a healthy start becomes a diluted version of what coffee is actually capable of doing. Now let's introduce the second element, clove, because this is where everything changes. Clove contains a compound called eugenol, one of the most powerful natural anti-inflammatory agents found in food. In fact, its effect has been compared in some studies to common pain relief medications, but without the side effects. Eugenol works by calming inflammatory pathways in your body, reducing irritation at a cellular level. But what makes clove truly unique is not just its strength, it's how it interacts with other compounds. And this is where the concept of synergy comes in. When chlorogenic acid from coffee meets eugenol from clove, they don't just work side by side, they amplify each other. The effect becomes stronger than either one alone. Now here's what happens inside your body when this combination is used correctly, and this is where most people start to notice something different almost immediately. Within the first 15 minutes, you experience energy, but not the kind you're used to. It's smoother, more stable, without that jittery feeling or sudden crash. That's because caffeine is being balanced by eugenol's calming effect on your nervous system. Instead of overstimulation, you get controlled activation. Your blood vessels relax slightly, improving circulation, while your brain receives a steady supply of energy. This creates clarity, not chaos, and for many people, this is the first time they realize coffee doesn't have to come with anxiety or discomfort. But the real impact goes beyond just energy, because within the first day, your digestion begins to respond. Clove has natural properties that reduce gas and bloating, while coffee stimulates bowel movement. Together, they create a cleansing effect that many people describe as a feeling of lightness. Over the next few days, something even more important begins to happen. Your blood sugar starts to stabilize. Instead of sharp spikes followed by crashes, your body begins to maintain a more balanced response to food. And this is where the real transformation begins, not in one dramatic moment, but in a series of small, consistent improvements that build over time. Now here's where things start to become even more interesting, because the real transformation doesn't happen in a single moment. It unfolds over time in a very specific pattern that most people don't expect. Within the first 3 days of using this correctly, your body begins to respond at a metabolic level. That constant cycle of hunger and fatigue, where you feel full one moment and suddenly drained the next, starts to stabilize. This happens because chlorogenic acid slows the absorption of glucose in your digestive system, preventing those sharp spikes in blood sugar. At the same time, eugenol improves how your cells respond to insulin, allowing your body to use energy more efficiently. This combination creates a smoother, more stable energy curve throughout the day. Instead of sudden highs and crashes, you begin to feel a steady level of energy that lasts longer and feels more natural. Now let's move to the 1 week mark, because this is where deeper changes begin to take place, even if they are not immediately visible. inflammation inside your body starts to decrease, and while you may not measure this directly, you will feel it in subtle ways. Morning stiffness begins to reduce, the dull ache in your joints becomes less noticeable. Swelling in your fingers or knees starts to go down. These are not random improvements. They are signs that systemic inflammation, the underlying driver of many chronic conditions, is beginning to calm down. And this is where consistency becomes critical, because these changes are cumulative. Each day you continue, the effect builds on the previous one, gradually shifting your body toward a more balanced state. Now let's talk about what happens after 1 month, because this is where the transformation becomes more visible and more measurable. Your liver, one of the most important organs for detoxification and metabolic balance, begins to function more efficiently. Research has consistently shown that regular coffee consumption is linked to improved liver health, including reduced risk of fatty liver and better enzyme levels. When combined with clove, this effect is amplified due to reduced oxidative stress. And here's where people start to notice something unexpected. Their skin begins to improve. This is not a cosmetic effect. It's a reflection of internal changes. When your liver processes toxins more effectively, your body doesn't need to push those toxins out through your skin. The result is a clearer, healthier appearance that many people don't initially connect to their morning routine. Now let's move to the long-term effect, because this is where the real power of this habit becomes clear. After 3 months of consistent use, your body begins to shift into a completely different state. Weight management becomes easier, not because you're forcing it, but because your metabolism is working more efficiently. Improved insulin sensitivity means your body stores less fat and uses more energy throughout the day. Your cognitive function also improves. That morning brain fog that once lingered for hours starts to disappear more quickly. Your thoughts feel clearer, your focus sharper, and your energy more stable. This is not a sudden transformation. It's the result of a system that has been gradually optimized through consistent support. Now here's the most important part. The exact method, because this is where most people make mistakes that completely eliminate the benefits. The correct approach is simple but precise. You take whole cloves, not powder, because the active compounds need to be preserved. You gently simmer them in water for a few minutes, not too long, because excessive heat destroys the key compounds. Then you use that infused water to prepare your coffee. This process allows the beneficial compounds to fully integrate into the drink, and timing matters. This should be the first thing you consume in the morning on an empty stomach when your body is most responsive. It's not complicated, but it requires attention to detail, because when done correctly, this simple routine becomes one of the most effective habits you can build into your day. Now let's talk about the faster method, because not everyone has time to follow a full preparation routine every morning, and this is where many people either give up or skip the process entirely. If you're short on time, there is a simplified version that still delivers results, though not at full strength. Instead of preparing a decoction, you take a single whole clove and crush it slightly using the flat side of a knife. This step is important because clove is a hard spice, and without breaking it, the active compounds won't release properly. Once crushed, you drop it directly into your freshly brewed black coffee and let it sit for about 3 minutes. This allows some extraction to occur, giving you roughly 60–70% of the full effect. It's not perfect, but it's far better than doing nothing. And for many people, this becomes the first step toward building the full routine later. Now here's where most people go wrong, because even after learning this, they make small mistakes that completely cancel out the benefits. The first mistake is using a whole clove without crushing or heating it. This gives you aroma, but almost no active compounds. The second mistake is overboiling. People assume that longer boiling means stronger results, but the opposite is true. Eugenol is heat sensitive, and excessive boiling begins to break it down, reducing its effectiveness. The third mistake, and probably the most common, is adding sugar, milk, or cream after preparation. These additions interfere with absorption and significantly reduce the impact of the beneficial compounds. So even if the method is correct, these small changes can completely undo the results. Now let's address something important that most people don't consider: safety, because even natural remedies need to be used with awareness. While this method is safe for most people, there are certain situations where caution is necessary. If you are taking blood thinners or medications that affect clotting, you should consult your doctor before using this regularly. Eugenol has a mild anticoagulant effect, which can enhance the action of these medications. If you have severe digestive conditions like ulcers or gastritis, coffee itself may not be suitable for you, regardless of what you add to it. This is not about fear, it's about using the method correctly based on your individual condition. Now here's what makes this routine so powerful, because unlike most health trends, it doesn't require a complete lifestyle overhaul. You're not adding something complicated to your day, you're simply upgrading something you already do. You're already drinking coffee. The difference is how you prepare it and how you use it. This makes it easier to maintain consistency, and consistency is what drives results, because no matter how effective something is, it only works if you actually do it regularly. And this is where most people fail, not because the method doesn't work, but because they don't stick with it long enough to see the full effect. Now imagine what happens when this becomes part of your daily routine, not something you think about, but something you naturally do every morning. Your body begins to expect it. Your energy becomes more stable. Your digestion becomes more predictable. You wake up with clarity instead of fog, and over time, these small improvements begin to compound. What starts as a simple habit becomes a foundation for better health, and the most important part is that it doesn't feel like effort, it becomes normal. Now let's talk about expectations, because this is where many people misunderstand the process. This is not an instant cure, and it's not meant to be. What it does is support your body in a way that allows it to function more efficiently over time. The early effects, like improved digestion and smoother energy, happen quickly, but deeper changes, like reduced inflammation and improved metabolic function, take consistency. This is not about dramatic overnight transformation. It's about steady improvement that builds with time. Now consider the alternative, continuing your current routine without change. The same coffee, the same additives, the same patterns that lead to energy crashes, digestive discomfort, and long-term inflammation. Over time, these patterns don't stay the same, they progress. The body adapts, but not always in your favor. And this is where small changes become important, because they shift the direction of that progression. So the real question becomes simple. What are you going to do with this information? Because now you understand that your morning coffee is not just a habit, it's an opportunity to support your body instead of working against it. And the difference between those two outcomes is often just one small decision, one clove, one method, one routine. And here's something worth thinking about, because most people spend money on supplements, treatments, and solutions that promise results but fail to deliver. Meanwhile, something simple, inexpensive, and already available is ignored. Not because it doesn't work, but because it seems too simple. But simplicity is not weakness. In many cases, it's the reason something works so well. At the end of the day, your health is shaped by the habits you repeat every single day. Not the extreme actions, not the occasional changes, but the consistent patterns that define your routine. And this simple adjustment to your morning coffee is one of those patterns. It doesn't require effort. It doesn't require expense. It just requires action. Because once you start, everything else becomes easier.